So Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, he's come up with the genius idea that we need to clear the homeless encampments on state land right now. You locals, you guys on the ground, you guys got to get after this. You guys need to hustle and clear out those homeless. Don't care. Yeah, get her done. Get her done. We're providing you the money. Get her done. California Senate Republicans blast Newsom's PR stunt clearing homeless encampments as convenient timing. Is there an election this year? Let's get into it. Here we go. So Gavin Newsom literally, you guys got to get rid of the homeless encampments. You're making me look bad. Now, if you haven't been following California's homeless encampments, this guy right here, California's $24 billion homeless failure, where did the money go? Got a situation where since 2019 to now, California spent $24 billion on homelessness, and it's only gotten worse. So where did all the money go? That was one of the big things that came up. We don't really know because there's no metric for accountability within the $24 billion that California spent. So you've literally got the blind leading the blind, and at the top of the blind is Governor Gavin Newsom, because he's doing one of those, oh my gosh, I can't believe the state of California. How did it get here? Well, you've been a politician and you allowed all this stuff to happen, and now it's making you look bad. And on a national level, you've got Kamala Harris, and, doing her thing. And people are going, what about her record as attorney general? What did that look like? And then folks are saying that, maybe Gavin Newsom steps into her administration and he'll get some kind of, go do this, Gavin. Go become the southern border czar, and we'll see how that works out. Maybe you can do better than Kamala. So you've got this issue where homelessness is a massive, massive issue in general. And we just had a Supreme Court ruling that said, no, it's not cruel and unusual punishment to tell people that they can't live in parks and city property, even if there isn't housing available to them. You can go along the lines of fining them. And then if they don't move along, you can incarcerate them. Supreme Court said that. And I totally agreed with that. There should have never been that prior ruling, but whatever. California Senate Republicans are calling out Governor Gavin Newsom for what they say is a PR stunt after he announced a new initiative to dismantle homeless encampments across the state through an executive order. The Republicans ripped Newsom in a press release after he announced the initiative Yesterday, his office said the governor has ordered state agencies and departments to adopt clear policies that urgently address homeless encampments while respecting the dignity and well-being of all Californians, including the unhoused. Now, how are you going to do that? Here's the bottom line. You're scooping them out of parks, public land, streets, sidewalks. You're clearing them out. Now, where are they going to go? Where are they going to go? You don't have enough housing for all of them. You don't have enough housing for all of the folks that are whacked out on drugs. You don't have enough housing for all the people that need mental health care or a combination of detox treatment and mental health care. You don't have the facilities for all that. You don't have the infrastructure for that. So this whole thing about Gavin Newsom sitting up there going, yeah, you got to clear them out. Where are you going to clear them out to? It's a legit question. Where do they go? It's totally legit. Where do they go? Well, away, Sean. They go away. There's no longer any urban camping allowed. Okay. All right. So where? Where do they go? Yeah, that's the question. You have allowed all of these folks to just stack themselves up willy-nilly with shenanigans all day long. Now, one of the arguments about the Grants Pass case that the Supreme Court ruled on was you're fining people and you're incarcerating people, the homeless, for sleeping on a pillow, for putting their head on a pillow somewhere on public property. And if it was just that, if it was just people sleeping, I don't think we'd get so worked up, right? We wouldn't get so worked up. But if you go through any homeless encampment and you look around, you're going to see a bunch of needles. You're going to see a bunch of garbage. You're going to see a bunch of clothes. You're going to see a bunch of stuff that's been given out with taxpayer funds that's gone to waste. You're going to see ruined food. You're going to see human trafficking. You're going to see sex acts. You're going to see gals come through the camp who are the camp's girlfriend. I mean, literally, you're going to see violence. You're going to see guns. You're going to see drugs. You're going to see stolen goods. You're going to see the purchase and selling of stolen goods. All of that goes hand in hand with people not wanting to live within society's structure and choosing to be homeless. It's not about putting their head on a pillow. I mean, they got to sleep like everybody else as well, right? But they have chosen to live these lives of just, I'm not saying everybody that's homeless does, but a big proportion of them. And in California, I mean, just take a look around Skid Row. I mean, they're not just putting their head on a pillow. They're up to shenanigans to the point where you should not go through Skid Row without some kind of authorization from some gang member. That's how bad it is. Police will not go in there. So, yeah, but Sean, it's just, you can't incarcerate somebody for just putting their head on a pillow. Can't do that. That's not really how it goes. But for bleeding hearts, for liberals, that's what they think. And the way I would put that is, all right, why don't you take 4, 5, 6 homeless folks, just pick them up randomly out of a tent, put them in your home, and let's see how long that lasts. Let's see how long you last. Hey, they're just putting their head on a pillow. I mean, what could go wrong? Just what could go wrong? It's about damn time. Letting people live and die on the streets or in our parks is unsafe and unsanitary. Senate Minority Leader Brian W. Jones, Republican from San Diego. You know what? It's long, long overdue, and it's not going to be handled overnight. There's nothing, when you are talking about clearing out 180,000 people, where are they going to go? What are you going to do with them? I don't know, but you got a virtue signal somehow, which is, hey, locals, meaning people, boots on the ground, officials in the cities where this has happened, mayors, right? You guys are now responsible. I mean, what have you been doing? We've been giving you all this money. Well, everybody knows that the homeless industrial complex is just this massive machine that makes money, that if homelessness gets solved, if they actually clear out all the homeless, then there's no more need for the money. So it's this everlasting cycle that these big cities, and the West Coast is littered with them. Oh yeah, we allow people to just post up wherever. Urban camping. It's urban camp. They're just camping. I mean, think of it as like they're camping in a state park, but they're not. They're living there and they're doing all kinds of, shenanigans and criminality on top of that. But, we just want to justify it by saying they're just looking for a place to rest their head. They're just looking for a place to put their pillow. I introduced a proposal earlier this year that would have provided even greater and more immediate solutions. While I am cautiously optimistic that the governor has finally taken note of the urgency of this problem, I'll bet many years later than needed, Californians deserve government for the people, not the PR hits. This is a PR hit. This gets Newsom. Oh, he's doing something. Look at him go. Look at him go. Well, how about not letting it get to this point? What about that? Because you got a lot of cities, you got a lot of states, you got a lot of counties that didn't allow this to happen. Yeah, interesting. I live in one of those cities, Bellevue, Washington. We do not allow, our authorities do not allow that to happen, even though we're just a handful of miles from Seattle. I'll be going to Seattle this afternoon to work on my boat to change out a hose between the intercooler and the aftercooler. How about that? Yeah, it's small hose, but come to find out when you have a hose in between those two components on a 6 BTA Cummins diesel turbocharged aftercooler engine, and it spews water everywhere. It's not good, but that is the least of our problems. We've had just all kinds of issues, service related, that we've done ourselves. I'll be doing that. But what that means is I go from Bellevue to Seattle. The minute I go over 520 and I hit the other side, there's just graffiti in the tunnel. It's overnight. It's like that. And it's because leadership in Seattle has allowed that to become the norm. Graffiti, homelessness, drugs, you name it, they've allowed it to happen. Other cities, even right here and even in Western Washington, do not allow that to happen. So it can be done, and it is done. But a lot of folks want to say, big West Coast city, it's going to have big West Coast problems. Homelessness is one of the biggest challenges that we face today, and it's imperative we take swift, decisive, and effective action to address it. How many times have we heard this nonsense? Got to do something. Got to do something. What are we going to do? Well, the issues are so complex because most of these folks, you can't just stick them in a house like Housing First dictates. If you just got them stable and into housing, oftentimes, you know what's sad? These folks are still doing fentanyl. They're actively doing fentanyl. Now you take them out from a group situation in an encampment where everybody's got Narcan, and you stick them in a place where they're going to go and do their fentanyl in their own individual tiny home. They're going to overdose. They're going to die. And we see those numbers continuously. Right now, around 100,000 people a year die from overdoses from drugs manufactured in China, sent to Mexico, come right up through the porous southern border. My son, Brennan, was a victim of that very exchange. It's out there. It's happening. We know it's happening. So what you've got going on is you've got politicians that need the PR. Oh, yeah, we got to do something. Let's lock down on that homelessness deal. This is a good opportunity because the Supreme Court just made a ruling that allows it makes it easier to sweep the homeless encampments. But you know what? They didn't really need that ruling. It wasn't illegal to sweep the homeless encampments because so many of these cities have housing for these folks in encampments. The folks in the encampments don't want it. You'll see a sweep of 45 people in an encampment. 2 or 3 will take, housing sometimes. I mean, the numbers are just atrocious. And that's especially if they're given the option of kind of the more communal shelter type housing versus individual housing. You got to be on a wait list for a long time to get the individual housing, maybe the tiny housing or, whatever it is, an apartment or a converted hotel. We've got so many of those going on. The governor claims this initiative was prompted by the Supreme Court's decision in Grants Pass versus Johnson last month, which found laws restricting sleeping in public areas did not violate the constitutional restriction against cruel and unusual punishment. I think it was the 14th Amendment. Is that right? Cruel and unusual punishment. And it's so ridiculous. So here's Gavin Newsom's tweet. No more excuses. You guys can't have any more excuses. Isn't he the king of excuses? Yeah. We've provided the time. We gave you guys the time. No more excuses. We've provided the funds, $24 billion, and you can't really work out where it went, and homelessness went up. So now we've got the blame game going on a massive scale. Now it's time for locals to do their job. This is one of those, I can't believe the state of California. What happened? Right? I mean, it's so predictable. It's so predictable. And what's going to happen as a result of this? You're going to do sweep after sweep after sweep. Those folks are going to move a couple of blocks away, and they're going to post up elsewhere because they're not going into shelter. They're not, okay, yeah, now that they did a sweep, I guess, I guess I better go get a job. I guess I better quit this really nasty fentanyl habit. Guess I better quit this really nasty heroin habit and, get out there and contribute to everybody else's Social Security. We want to make sure that, it lasts for generations and generations. Is that going to happen? No, absolutely not. The state's been hard at work to address this crisis in our streets, Newsom said. There's simply no more excuses. It's time for everyone to do their part. Well, what about all the politicians that just kind of let this happen, that just let this go? We're compassionate. They just need a hand up. They just need a tent. They just need a blanket. They just need a neat, clean needle. You got all of this still going on. So has the shift happened on homelessness? No, because it's not going anywhere because you don't have the facilities to really help out these folks long term that need the help. And The ones that want help are few and far between, and the ones that don't want help, that's the vast majority of folks that you see long-term in homelessness. They choose to be there. They want to live outside. They want to live outdoors. They complain about it and ask, yeah, I'd take housing if I could. Well, if it's primo, just, here you go. Here's your own, tiny home. Here's your own whatever. But if they want shelter, if they really wanted a roof over their head, if they really wanted a place to put their pillow, that's out there. It's just they don't want to take advantage of it. They just don't. And you'll see that in interview after interview after interview. So Governor Gavin Newsom issues an executive order for removal of California homeless encampments. That is virtue signaling on the governor level, on the gubernatorial level, isn't it? It is. It's because it's a bad look for California. It's a terrible look for California. Numero uno in homelessness? Yeah. And he's going to be appointed to some top position, maybe in Kamala Harris's cabinet. So he's got to clean up some of his messes. Yeah, I mean, I was working on that homelessness thing when I was governor, and I told those locals, you guys got to get on it. You guys got to hop on this. What are you guys doing? I mean, look at all this money I gave you, and you're just fiddle farting around with all these shenanigans, and nothing's getting done. I mean, when you spend $24 billion over 5 years and it gets worse, absolutely stunning. But would you think that it's anything different than that? All right, here's the last part of my segment I'm going to get into. So if areas do start sweeping, do start following the letter of the law, which says you can't publicly camp just wherever you want to, do, and just willy-nilly and do your shenanigans. You can't do that. It's illegal. They start enforcing that. Where do the homeless go? Where do the homeless go? They go to areas where it's not enforced. So now you're going to take a whole swath of your homeless population and they're going to move to areas where it's a known quantity. Hey, they're not sweeping here. And maybe it's a community over. Maybe it's a city over. Maybe it's a town over they go. Maybe it's a state over. So Portland service providers respond to California governor's executive order to remove all homeless camps. So Portland is looking at California going, California is no longer a good place to be homeless. Literally, a gal in the video on this said that. California is no longer the golden land where you should be homeless. Now they're going to sweep. That's terrible. It's horrible. People are just looking for a place to put their pillow. That's not right either. So you've got other cities going, they're going, ooh, if other cities start sweeping and we don't, then we become the target. Our homeless issue becomes even greater. Oh, yeah. It's a matter of demand and supply, isn't it? There's demand all over for homelessness. Let's just put up my tent right here. It's great. They want to do it. There's demand. Supply? Well, if that starts to shrink, because some cities, some towns, some counties are upholding the law. Shocking, I know, right? Hey, yeah, you can't camp there. It's a city park. I should be able to camp wherever I want. Just wherever I want. I just want to camp here. This is where I want to camp. It's America. I'm not paying any taxes, but I'll just camp here. That's the attitude. I want to do what I want to do, even though I'm just running around robbing people and doing who knows what shenanigans. That's what you got going on. California's decision is the first of its kind to come out of last month's Grant Court Supreme ruling, giving cities more power over removing homeless camps. So Portland specifically is kind of sitting back going, ooh, what's going to happen here? How is this going to go? Portland has been talking about cleaning up its homeless situation for years. And they've got a really out of control one because they allowed it to happen. And now they're trying to, put the genie back in the bottle and, God darn it, this genie just won't get in here. So you're going to be stuck with much of the same for years, for decades, because you literally don't have a solution. 180,000 people in California, where are you going to put them? Sean, just build an artificial island off the coast and stick them all there. I don't know. I mean, how many can you stick on Alcatraz? How many can you stick in? I have no solutions for this because I wouldn't have allowed this to happen in the first place, but I am also not governor or anything with any kind of power. I'm just a guy who reads the news. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for supporting, and I will catch up with you on the next one. Until then, bye for now.